Good morning. Good morning. I had an interesting phone call yesterday talking to another junk removal company about me working alone day to day. Let's get into that video right now. Okay? What's up, guys? My name is Ricardo. I'm the owner of junkguysdfw. I'm a local junk removal service here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Also, I own some haunted houses in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, one in Dallas and one in Fort Worth. And for the last 18 years, this is what I have been doing. Today I want to talk about why am I still on the truck doing jobs day to day? Why haven't I sat back in an office and enjoyed the fruits of my labor? It's a great question. Great question. I love to answer this. I'm going to give some examples also about this. You know, when you go and you get a job, a corporate job like at Boeing or, I don't know, wherever you go get a job somewhere and you work in an office. Let's say you're a Walmart manager and you're getting paid $150,000, or you're a general manager at a Home Depot. You don't go and sub yourself out of that job and put someone there in place. You have to sit there and you have to work. You have to physically manage people, fire people, organize stock, organize things on a daily basis. And I'm going to tell you, you cannot sit there and put employees in place. You have to do the work yourself. You have to. Because if you don't, you won't be able to make any money. You won't be able to... You're not allowed to sub yourself. You just can't do that. And in this job of owning a junk removal service, we all sub each other out to get employees. You're not allowed to do that in the corporate world. You cannot do that if you're working at Boeing or Bell Helicopter or anywhere like that. You can't do that. There's no way that you can do that. But you can do it in junk removal. You can sub yourself out after 1 or 2 years and go ahead and let someone else do the jobs for you, or I don't get that. So since the beginning of the time, people have started their own businesses. People have worked hard the American way. They've used their hands, they used their bodies to provide for their families financially. And now in the junk removal world, it's kind of frowned upon if you've been in it for more than 5 or 10 years or 18 years like myself. It's frowned upon. You can't do that. So my father-in-law, my ex-father-in-law, he worked at AT&T for 25 years. For 25 years he worked at AT&T. He had an office job, but he had to go on the warehouse floor and check everything. He always was checking trucks. He couldn't sub in somebody. In other words, he couldn't say, hey, I'm not going to do it today. Why don't you do it, Raul? Why don't you do it, Jose? Why don't you do it? He couldn't do that. He had to do it himself. I remember talking to him about his work ethic and stuff. After 25 years of him retiring and getting injury, he got injured on the job. He climbed a pole and he slipped and he fell and he hurt his back. And that back injury led to his death. Ultimately, it led to his death. He ended up getting a back infection, and then after an operation, and then that led to another thing, and that led to another thing, and then he ended up dying and passing away a couple of years ago. When he retired, they gave him a ring and pension. The pension was great for his wife. But did he build a legacy? Did he build something for himself? But for 25 years, to the day that he ended his job at AT&T, he worked the floors. He was still hands-on. You know, being on the truck for 18 years like I have, I don't see a problem with it. But there's a lot of people out there that do see a problem with it. So I'm going to give you some of the pros and some of the cons of being on the truck. Let's go with some of the pros first of all, because I think that's the most important part. I think people want to go, golly, yeah. You know. Pros. You take care of your vehicle a lot better. You maximize your bottom line by you working. You don't have to hire somebody else. You can always provide the essential customer service that is needed because it's your business. You don't have to be discouraged of coming into work knowing that an employee is going to mess it up for you. You don't have to worry about that because it's you. You don't have to worry about you going into a house and damaging something because it's you. Having an employee do these kind of works, you're always on top of it, you know what I mean? You're on thin ice the whole time. Insurance, the cost of insurance for employees. The cost of insurance for employees on a truck. Workers' comp. The expenses to have an employee are astronomical. And you never know what they're doing. And then you get paranoid and you got to keep an eye on them, so then you go buy a GPS and track all your vehicles all the time. Then you have to give them a card so they can put fuel, and then you don't know if they're stopping somewhere and putting fuel in their girlfriend's car. You just never know. There are so many disadvantages. But the biggest pro is the ability to be a man and maximize your profits and grow your business instead of throwing it out the door to employees. I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned in this industry. In the 18 years that I've been in this industry, that to be one of the most important things that I've done. Is being able to establish myself as the owner, the manager, the bookkeeper, the booking agent, and everything across the board. I know where every dollar goes. Every dollar. You know, can you reassure yourself, if you have another truck and another employee, can you reassure yourself throughout the day they're doing the right estimate? That they're putting in the right correct fuel? That as you give them your credit card to put fuel, they're not using that on something else? Has there ever been any discrepancies on pricing? For instance, when you go to a job and it's $300 and they're finished with the job and they bring back $300, but in reality they charge $350. Has there ever been discrepancies like that in your business? Because I'm going to tell you, it can happen a lot. Cons about staying on the truck. Cons. The wear and tear it takes on your body. The inability to sit down at all times. The time it takes away from your family. The time it takes away from your kids. When you're in charge and something happens, you're in charge of fixing it too. That's regular. You know, in 18 years of doing this business, I've been able to purchase a piece of property, put some cement on that property, put some containers on that property, and have something to look forward to. In 18 years, that's happened. Isn't that crazy? 18 years. And I think a lot of people are going, in 18 years, you haven't been able to buy a house. I own another house already. I already own a house, guys. Okay? This is my second piece of property. This is my dream home. You know what's funny about this? Is a lot of people go and finance their house for 25 to 30 years. It's taken me 18 years to start building my house. Think about it. While you're still paying those additional 12 years, I'm going to be living in my house paid for. So you got to think about stuff like that. You know what I mean? Most of these homes are in 20 or 25 to 30 year terms. It took me 18 years to start building my house. My dream house. My forever home. I'm looking forward to it too. I'm also looking forward to having my son live on the properties, both my sons. That's gonna be really cool. And letting them have a weekend home. Be really, really cool. You know, I think a lot of people fail to realize the impact of leaving a legacy, of leaving something for the kids, because I've only worked all this time for my children. And leaving them something is something that I really, really have been living for and working for. So sometimes you got to look at yourself, guys, and think, if I'm doing the right thing, or is this business going to fold in the next couple of years or months? Tragic stories out there in junk removal. I've had two of my friends locally already called it quits. They just stopped doing this business. It's weird. Anyway, I'm about to pull up here to my property in Dallas. I'm going to empty out some of my trailer. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. See you later.